Would you believe it if someone said a blind man talks to colors? No eyes, no light, and yet he paints such images that bring people to tears. This is the story of Vishal, an artist who had darkness in his eyes, but an entire universe in his heart. Vishal was born in a small town. A childhood illness stole his eyesight. By the age of 7, the world had gone dark for him. But as they say, when one sense fades, the others begin to show their magic. In the beginning, everyone saw him as helpless. His father dreamed he'd become an officer, but Vishal, he seemed to be made of something else entirely. While other kids played football, Vishal would sit quietly in a corner, touching the walls. In the cracks of those walls, he saw shapes. A face, a tree, maybe a mountain. His fingers became his paintbrushes, and his heart a soul filled with colors. One day, a wall painting competition was held at school. All the children said, "What will this blind boy paint?" But Vishal didn't respond. He simply placed his hand on the wall and felt it, the warmth of sunlight, the chill of the breeze, the heartbeat of that very wall. And then, he painted. Without seeing, a mother holding her sleeping child. Everyone's eyes filled with tears. No one could understand. How did he see such a moment? Maybe he didn't see it. He simply felt it. When someone can't see, does that mean their dreams are blurry too? No, because dreams aren't seen with eyes. They're seen with the soul. Vishal slowly began to refine his art. Walls, paper, wood, whatever he could find became his canvas. His hands held the brush, but the paint flowed from his heart. One day, he took a few of his paintings and walked into a big city art gallery. The curator listened to him, then laughed and said, "A blind man doing paintings? This must be a joke." No one even touched his canvas. No one was willing to call him an artist. Once again, his blindness became his identity, not his talent. That night felt like the longest night of Vishal's life. He still had his paintings, but it felt like his courage was slipping away. He sat on the rooftop, unable to see the sky, but a voice inside whispered, "If I stop believing in myself, then why would anyone else believe in me?" And the next morning, Vishal found a blank wall and turned it into his own open street gallery. People would pass by and stop watching him paint, and they'd ask the same question: is he really blind? He can't see, but maybe he sees more than the rest of us ever will. Some people carry darkness in their eyes, and some carry light in their dreams. Vishal was one of the latter. In the previous part, you saw how Vishal, despite being rejected, created his own street, his own stage. Now, people started coming to see his paintings. Some quietly cried, some stood still, completely mesmerized. No one could understand. How could a man who couldn't see feel such depth in his art? One day, a foreign woman, an art critic traveling through India, came across Vishal's open gallery. She stood there in silence for a long time, then asked him, "How did you capture so much pain on the mother's face?" Vishal simply smiled and replied, "Because I learned to touch the world through my mother's fingers." The woman bought that painting on the spot. Later, she posted online, "The man who paints without eyes, but sees what we often ignore." What happened next changed Vishal's life forever. That same painting, created on a torn piece of old bedsheet, was sold in an international auction for 1.2 Indian rupees crore. But what do you think he bought with that money first? A big bungalow? A luxury car? No, he bought a small house for his mother, a place where the roof wouldn't leak. And then, he started a school for blind children like himself, called Art Without Eyes. Art isn't meant to be seen, it's meant to be felt. Some stories aren't seen with the eyes, they are felt with the heart. And Vishal's story is one of them. Vishal had now become a name known to many. Newspapers, television, social media, everywhere, people were talking about him. But one day, he received an invitation that came as a reply to every rejection life had thrown at him. A call came from Rashtrapati Bhavan, the presidential residence. "You are being honored with the National Art Award." Vishal was invited on stage. Everyone in the hall stood up. Applause, emotion, and a deep, respectful silence. The president handed him the award and said, "I have seen many artists, but never one like this, who doesn't create with his eyes, but with his soul." That day, Vishal said something that touched the heart of an entire nation. "Yes, I am blind, but I'm not broken. I haven't seen colors, but I've understood the pain of colors." Even today, Vishal continues to teach millions. Never give up. Even in darkness, there is art, there is hope, and there is light. But this story doesn't end here. This is just the beginning for all those souls who don't suppress their pain, but transform it into something beautiful. Because when life hits you hard, you always have two choices. Either break apart, or use those broken pieces to create a new masterpiece. Never define yourself by your limitations. Real talent isn't in the eyes. It lies in the soul, in that fire that refuses to surrender. It doesn't matter what the world calls you. Your true identity is born when you accept yourself with complete honesty. Flaws, scars, and all. Colors aren't just seeing. seen, they're felt. When you see peace in someone's smile, when you recognize your own pain in someone's eyes, that's when you go from being a person to becoming an artist. When life throws insults, when people try to break you, those very taunts and setbacks can become your greatest weapons. Every scar tells a story, and every story is a chance to rise again, stronger. If your heart is on fire, you don't need eyesight, because when your dream burns bright enough, it carves out its own path, even in the darkest night. And most importantly, no matter how dark it gets, your dream can always be bigger than the darkness. Just don't give up on yourself. If Vishal's story touched your heart, then please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, because one story can change someone's life.